It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woo-hooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Before we get into today's mystery, just a quick heads up. This episode isn't just about how Jeffrey Epstein died. Really, it's not about that at all. It's about everything that's been buried since. Files sealed, names blacked out, evidence that somehow vanished, and a new report from the Justice Department that claims to close the case, but somehow leaves even more open. Jeffrey Epstein's name has been floating around for years now, usually followed by a heavy pause, some raised eyebrows, and a whole lot of questions. He was rich, connected, and behind one of the most disturbing criminal networks we've seen in a long time. And when he died in federal prison in 2019, a lot of people thought that would be the end of it. Except it wasn't. Instead of answers, we got a flood of theories, documentaries, leaked flight logs, and more redacted documents than a CIA memo in the 70s. The public wanted the full picture: names, charges, a clear path to justice. And then, in July 2025, the Department of Justice released a final review. After years of questions and digging, their conclusion was simple. Epstein died by suicide. And, the big one, there is no client list. No hidden tapes. No secret stuff happening at all. That was it. And to be fair, they did address some of the major claims, but they also said that the FBI found no evidence that Epstein was blackmailing anyone. They said no further charges are coming. And maybe the most frustrating part, they said the records people were hoping to see, the ones with names and connections and receipts, they don't exist in the way that we thought. But that didn't calm things down. It lit the whole thing back up, because now we're not wondering how Epstein died. Not really. We're wondering why so much of his story feels out of reach, and why, after all this time, so many doors are still closed. Let's get into what the files do say, what's missing, and what that might mean. In early 2024, a set of court documents from a civil case involving Ghislaine Maxwell were unsealed. People had been waiting on those for years. When they came out, over 150 names appeared, some familiar, some unexpected, all in connection with Jeffrey Epstein. The names didn't automatically mean criminal behavior, but they did confirm something people had suspected for a while. Epstein's reach went far beyond Palm Beach or Manhattan. It included people in government, business, science, and media, former presidents, British royalty, celebrities, billionaires. The list was wide and varied. Donald Trump's name is in those records, and so is Bill Clinton's. Trump and Epstein were known to socialize in the 80s, the 90s, and the early 2000s. According to Epstein's own words in an interview, they were close for about 10 years. There are also flight logs that show Trump flew on Epstein's private jet. After Epstein's arrest, Trump said they hadn't spoken in over 15 years. Clinton flew on Epstein's plane more than once in the early 2000s, often with staff or security present. He denied knowing anything about Epstein's crimes. The court documents also show connections to Prince Albert and a long list of public and private figures. Some were accused of wrongdoing, many were not. Some were mentioned briefly with no clear reason why. Then there are the redactions, pages full of names blacked out, paragraphs with lines removed, in some cases entire sections sealed. It's hard to tell what's being protected, privacy, ongoing investigations, or something else entirely. We don't know. Then came the Justice Department's July 2025 report. It stated that the FBI reviewed all available evidence and found no client list, no organized blackmail operation, and no reason to pursue additional charges. In their view, the case is closed. That conclusion has not gone over well with everyone, to say the least. Some of the attorneys representing Epstein's victims say their clients were told that more information existed, sealed files, depositions, names that weren't being made public at that time. They've questioned whether the full truth was ever seriously pursued. At this point, what we have is a partial record. Some documents are public, some are still sealed, and others may have never been created in the first place. The official word is that there's nothing more to find. But the amount of material we haven't seen, combined with the number of people who've been kept at arm's length from investigators, makes it hard to feel like the story is fully closed. If there's one detail that's stuck with people since Epstein's death, it's the cameras in the prison. Or more specifically, the cameras that didn't work when they were supposed to work. The night Epstein died, he was in a federal jail, a facility where high-risk inmates are supposed to be under watch, constantly. But somehow, multiple cameras malfunctioned. 2 guards reportedly fell asleep. His cellmate was moved earlier that day. And the footage, it either didn't record or got erased. Now, fast forward to 2025. That new DOJ report confirms something that sounds like it was pulled from a movie script. A full minute of surveillance footage is missing. Not an hour, not a whole feed, just 1 minute. Gone. The official explanation? Technical issue. Nothing suspicious. But it's hard not to question how so many technical issues can happen at one place that's built to prevent them, especially in a case like this and a prisoner like this. Add in the fact that the autopsy raised more questions than answers. Some pathologists are saying the injuries didn't match a typical hanging. And you're left with a situation that doesn't feel buttoned up. It feels incomplete. It's not about insisting there was foul play. It's about the fact that every time someone goes looking for clarity, they run into another gap, another lost file, another blank space where something important should be. And somehow that missing minute might say more than a full hour of coverage ever could. When the Justice Department released its final report in July 2025, it said Epstein died by suicide. It said there was no client list, no secret tapes, and no evidence of a broader criminal conspiracy. The message was clear. The case is over. But what followed didn't feel like closure. The first wave of public reaction came from an unexpected place. Some of the loudest voices questioning the DOJ's conclusions were from inside the Republican base. People who typically defend law enforcement and dismiss talk of government cover-ups were now demanding answers. And when I say dismiss talk of government cover-ups, I mean this specific administration, just so we're clear. Steve Bannon went on his show and said that the GOP was risking its future if it didn't push for full transparency. Dan Bongino, who used to work in the Secret Service, openly criticized the way the case had been handled. Laura Loomer called the DOJ statement a political shield for powerful people. And Kash Patel, who before he was appointed by Donald Trump to be the head of the FBI, claimed that the FBI and DOJ were protecting elites and hiding the truth. Then Trump stepped in and defended Pam Bondi. She was Florida's attorney general during part of Epstein's legal saga and later worked for Trump directly. Her ties to Epstein's world have been talked about before, especially around that 2007 plea deal that kept Epstein out of serious prison time. Bondi has always denied wrongdoing, of course, but critics say she was part of the system that helped Epstein walk away with a slap on the wrist. So now you have a split. On one side, Trump is trying to quiet things down. On the other, parts of his base are turning up the volume. People who once echoed his talking points are now pushing back, saying this case wasn't handled right and that someone, somewhere, is protecting people with influence. And many are saying it's Trump protecting himself because he knows how much his name is on that list. What makes it more complicated is that all of this happened during and after Trump's first presidency. The DOJ, the Bureau of Prisons, and the FBI were operating under his leadership when Epstein was arrested, held in custody, and died in jail. If there was a breakdown in oversight, or if names were shielded from public view, it happened on his watch. That puts the entire conversation in a strange spot. The people calling for answers are the same people who once had the power to ask tougher questions. And that disconnect is where a lot of frustration is coming from. This isn't about blaming one side. It's about asking why the full truth still seems so far away, why certain names are still redacted, why key documents remain sealed, and why people with power seem to stay just out of reach, no matter how close the investigation gets. At this point, the Epstein story stopped being about Epstein a long time ago. It was about what didn't happen after he died. They want us to believe there's no client list, no blackmail indictments are coming, no powerful names brought in for questioning. The official story says the case is closed, but everything about how it ended feels unfinished. Not because people want a conspiracy, but because the facts we do have are full of gaps. Key records sealed, surveillance footage missing, people with ties to Epstein never interviewed, and now we're being told officially that there's nothing more to see here. Move on. The DOJ's final report didn't answer any of the big questions. It didn't even try. It listed what they reviewed, then moved on, but it never addressed the one thing that still haunts this case, the network of influence around Epstein, the people who visited his homes, flew on his planes, showed up on call logs and guest lists, and somehow slid past any accountability. Some of these people were world leaders. Others were celebrities, executives, royalty, all of them connected to a man who built his power on silence, intimidation, and access. And now, that silence is being extended to protect everyone who stood too close. Victims are still asking why no one followed up on their claims. Reporters are still trying to piece together a story where half the pages are redacted. And the public? Most people don't believe they've been told the truth. And they're right not to. Especially when the man who has the power to end the investigation and tell you to move on, there's nothing more to see here, is a man who you can find his name on the flight logs, on call records, who it was well documented to be good friends of Jeffrey Epstein for 10 or 15 years. This isn't just about one man. It's about a system that let him operate, a system that's still protecting itself. So yes, Epstein is dead, probably. But the people who helped him, shielded him, and possibly benefited from the same silence, they're still out there, all of them. And the truth? That disappeared the second his cell door closed for the last time.
Bubba Wallace here from 2311 Racing. Funny thing about being fast? You end up waiting a lot. First to show up, first in line, then just waiting. Me, I rev up Chumba Casino. With over 200 social casino games, no slow lanes here. Why sit around when you can spin? I'm already racing. Your turn. Play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.